Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to B Sports Picks. So I've been traveling since the 17th. I'm finally back home on the 27th. So it's been a long, long trip. Overall, I'm glad to be back. Yesterday was a lot of thunderstorms and stuff, so we got delayed like 6 hours. So I'm on a few hours of sleep right now. But that's why I wanted to get on this live instead of like working in the background. I wanted to show you all the stuff that I was looking at. A lot of the stuff that is coming up. There's a lot of games. So, for example, on the line movement, I'm looking at the Padres, the Tigers, um, the Twins. I'm not touching the White Sox at a plus 1.5, but they did come up as a line movement. The Athletics at a plus 1.5. And then the sharp money came up again on the Tigers, and then double down. Tigers come up again. So, like 3 different times the Tigers have come up. Also, the Brewers and the Twins. So there's a lot of stuff going on today. I'm going to get right into it. I'm going to show you some of the tools that I actually worked while I was at the airport. I worked on some stuff, but that's going to be later on. I'll show you what I was working on. But let me just get right into it. And I definitely have one play for sure that's showing up very strong. I also have one no run first inning. I'm going to hook you guys up with that. What's up, Punting with Lee? Good morning. So let me get right into it, guys. Sorry about the voice. It's just I've been traveling, and like I said, I was stuck in the airport for about 7 hours. But check this out, guys. So we went to the Winnable Mansion last weekend, which was during the World Cup, and they were filming us for about, I don't know, 8 hours or something like that. And when I watched this, we came out on Netflix, and it's called Instadocs, the prediction games. And from all the 8 hours that they were filming, they only showed Winnable for about, I would say, like 5 minutes out of that entire 36 minutes. And I came up like very, very slightly right there. So that's the only time they show me. It is what it is. I'm not too happy about that. I thought they were, I did a little bit of an interview with them and stuff like that, but it is what it is. I thought I was going to get more time with them, but anyway, we move on. So let's keep going here. So first thing I like to look at, guys, is the sharp edge. This is the third link in the description. So what this does is basically looks at the top teams, and you don't have to even put your email or anything or pay for any of this right here. So what this is basically just it rates what's been happening with the top 5 teams, and that you'll see right here the best performing teams right here. So right now the Red Sox have been extremely hot. You got the Royals, the Brewers, the Reds, and the Dodgers. And then the worst 5 teams right now in the last 14 games is the Marlins, the Cardinals, the Athletics, the Guardians, and the Phillies. So one of the things, because I was traveling, I didn't have like everything set up, exactly how I like it. But one of the things I didn't notice is that the Phillies is actually one of the worst teams right now. So we took the Phillies yesterday. But again, I didn't realize that they were hitting at a 30% hit rate. That's why this tool is so powerful, because then before you even start looking at the rest of the teams and the rest of the games, this is good to look at just to see which teams are strong and which teams are weak. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to win or lose, but it's good to know that. So, like, for example, the Marlins did come up. I do see the Marlins over here. But if you see this, they've only won 10% of their games in the last 10 games. So they've only won 1 game in the last 10. Now, the most important thing on this entire screen is this top 10 versus bottom 10. So it's a notable matchup. I call them mismatches. So basically, it's the Reds versus the Guardians, for example, and they're playing twice today. So ranked number 4th is the Reds. Ranked 27th, which is one of the worst, is the Guardians. And you can see right there, take a screenshot if you want. But like I said, if you go to the third link, you'll see this page, and it's free. So all you have to do is refresh it every morning, and you'll see the worst teams versus the best teams. I used to do this in NFL called fading the horrible dogs. So what you would do here is basically start your research based on the Reds to beat the Guardians, the Cubs to beat the Cardinals, the Astros to beat the Angels, Red Sox to beat the Athletics, Brewers to beat the Giants, and the Dodgers to beat the Mariners. So again, you would still have to do your research, obviously, but this is a good starting point. One of the things that I built right before I left last week was this thing called The Verdict. and it's inside the sharp edge. And it's basically 4 hours of research in 15 minutes. So basically everything that's on the sharp edge tool, which I've talked about in many, many videos, it's all condensed into one page. So I'm going to scroll through this pretty quickly because people pay me for this. And the VIP section, if you want this, you would have to send me a text message and say, hey, I'm interested in the verdict, because like I said, it's people pay me for this and I don't want to just give it away. But if you want access to this verdict, just send me a text message right there. I'll take a quick glance just so you can see, but it kind of goes all the way down, like one hits, line movement, expert insights, what the other experts are doing that we follow, spreads, convergence, one hitters, and sharp plays. So it, like I said, it grabs everything that's the best stuff that's already showing up in the sharp edge, plus additional stuff. So what the way I built this is all the stuff that I want to look at every morning. I don't want to waste time. So what I do is I come to the verdict and it tells me these are the ones you want to look at. So I save so much time. And this entire time that I've been traveling, I've been using very specifically this one page. And that's how I start my research. I hope that makes sense. If not, let me know. Let me look at the comments. Back home, sportsbook beware. Yeah. What's up, man? Good morning. I live in Australia. Could I shoot you a text in the Discord? Yeah, send me a DM. So anyways, you can see right there the sharp plays. It's coming up as Detroit. So I've already mentioned Detroit. I really like Detroit. I like the Twins. And I'll tell you why. So let me just go down the line here. So if I get into the convergence tool, this one is part of the sharp edge. The other one I just showed was part of the VIP inside the sharp edge, but this one is part of the sharp edge, and it's 7 days for free if you want to check this out. So right here, what the convergence tool is, says where multiple signals agree. So right here, there's 4 signals that are aligned with the Twins, and there's only one that's opposed. So for example, the line is moving towards the Twins. The win probability says the Twins. Expert insights say the Twins. And then the projected runs say Twins. The only thing that it doesn't say it's opposing is Kansas City does have an OPS more than Minnesota. And what OPS is on base percentage. So you can see right there, it's pretty strong for the Twins without looking at anything further. Brewers, same thing, very strong. Tigers, very strong. And right here, the only thing is the OPS, again, is going towards Baltimore. Everything else is pointing towards the Tigers. Now, obviously, like I said, none of this stuff is set in stone. You have to start your own research from these tools and then start writing down which ones are strong. And then from there, you start your research. Let me see. Sorry for interrupting. Where do the VIP picks drop? You get them on your text message. If you allowed Winnable to send you a text message, you'll get the text message. Otherwise, it'll go inside of your email directly. So if you want to go and allow the email to happen, I'm sorry, the SMS, you have to allow it. I don't know if it's international. You would have to reach out to support@winnable.com if you want to get text messages for Winnable. All right, so let's get into it, guys. I have not, because I wanted to get on this live, I wanted to talk about this. I'm going to look through. Let me take a quick glance here. So the ones that are washed, so like I said, I was looking at a lot of games, but a lot of them are skip. The one I really do like is Detroit. However, Detroit does have a depleted bullpen. They actually played 5 different relievers, but so did Baltimore. So right now, both bullpens are depleted, but Detroit does have a much better starting pitcher. So that is one of the strongest plays on the board for today. There's a lot of over-unders that I have not even taken a glance at. What other things? So most of the games are actually looking at like over total runs, overs and unders. That's what's showing up today. But I'm still going to give you guys the 2 plays that I really do like. Or actually, I'm going to confirm them on this video, and then I'll give you the one no-run first inning for sure for being here. So I'll get to the no-run first inning at the end of this. And also, you know what? I'll also do the one hits. So I have not done these 1 hits because I couldn't get a lot of these on in California. I couldn't get a lot of these one hits, so I just kind of skipped them. So I want to do this on this live. All right, let me get right into it. I'm going to just look at the Tigers and the Twins. The Tigers and the Twins. I'm skipping the Brewers because they're too heavily juiced and it's not worth it. So let me get right into this. We'll look at the Tigers, the Twins, and then we'll look at the no run first inning and the one hits. Okay, let's get into it. So Twins. All right. So right here you can see the Twins 61% win probability. So they're supposed to win. Bradley holds an edge on the ERA. They have a much better strikeout percentage versus Lugo. There is a huge gap right there. Or I'm sorry, it says moderate. There's a moderate gap. It does say that Kansas City is one of the worst bullpens on the slate with a horrible 4.86. So what that means is that once they relieve the starting pitcher, first of all, is much stronger for Minnesota. And now it's saying here that the bullpen is much worse for KC. So that's two strong things for in the favor of Minnesota. The line started at a 148. It's currently at a 158. So it did move 10 cents. Now, right here, I don't like to see this because now you can see the public is all over this. 80% of the bets, 83% of the money. So the public is all over this play. However, the line is still shifting, even though this much money is still coming in. The line is still shifting in their favor, which is a good sign. But I normally don't like to see that much public money on the same play as the Sharps. So it's a little bit iffy for me when that happens. The Twins in the last 13 games are 69% hit rate. Total runs projected. You can see they're projected to go under for KC, under 4.5, and Twins are projected to go over 4.5. Bradley is a much better pitcher. You can see right there. Well, they're very similar, I should say. Right here it says 9-4. This guy's 4-6. ERA is very similar. FIP is very similar. The grade is very similar. And then this is where it starts breaking for KC. You got the bullpen is much cleaner for Twins. And then they're pretty close on OPS. So this is actually a lot closer than what I thought. But I still like the Twins. So let me write this down before I forget. Give me a second. So I'm going to take the Twins on the money line. I think I've talked about it enough. I'm not going to go into all the details, but I have a bunch of other stuff, a lot of information. Let me see if I can just give you a little bit more here. It says Boston, so the over. There's an underplay, and then Detroit. So let's see. There's a lot of other stuff. I'm not going to get into. There's just a lot of overwhelming information on the over-unders. That's what's showing up today. So anyways, I do like Minnesota. I'm going to take Minnesota. It does say that it's a lean. It's not a strong one, but I do like it. Now let's look at the Detroit because this one keeps coming up for me. So let's see. Tigers are supposed to win. Projected score 5. Orioles are 4. Win probability is 58%. Out of the 12 categories and stats, they're even 6-6. Now, the sharp edge verdict, it does say 4 out of 5 things are happening for Detroit. So that's good. What's up, man? Good morning. Thank you all for being here. I wanted to get on this live just to kind of get back in the groove of things instead of just kind of being in the background recording a video. So I appreciate you guys that are here. So anyways, sharp edge verdict does say money line to go with Detroit. I did already mention that Detroit has massive ERA gap. Plus, they both depleted their bullpens yesterday. So the bullpens are very similar. Now it's going to be very, very important for the starting pitching. And that's where Melton is much cleaner over Kremer. So let's keep going here. Detroit, it started at 139. I'm sorry, 133. It went to 139. 66% of the bets, 87. What is this? 66% of the bets, 86% of the money is on Detroit, and the line is still shifting in their favor. You can see the money line in the last 15 games is 66%. Over is for the over 4.5 runs. It does favor Detroit because Baltimore is saying that it should go under. So this right here, what you're looking at, is DraftKings, and DraftKings is giving you the odds of 135 that Baltimore is going to go on the under. That's favored compared to Detroit. The odds are that they're going to go over. So this is a very important thing to look at because these are actually live odds from DraftKings. All right. So Braves and Mets, no run first inning. Braves and Mets did not come up at all. We took Braves yesterday. I believe it was yesterday. And they hit pretty easily, I believe. I have to look at my stats. I was traveling. I was stuck at the airport. So I haven't taken a good look at exactly what happened overall in the last couple of days. But I'm pretty sure we took the Braves either yesterday or the day before yesterday. But they did not come up for me at all today. I already gave all the teams that showed up, and they were not one of them. So I only look at teams that show up. And if they don't show up, and what I mean by show up is that the stats are pointing in one direction, saying you should look at this game, and there's reasoning why to even start looking at that game. If it doesn't start to tell me that, I don't even look at it, to be honest, at this point. So anyway, let's keep going here. The starting pitching is much stronger. You can see right there, Troy Melton is a 4.05. ERA is massive, 1.95. The lower, the better on the ERA because that's earned runs, and he allows very little earned runs. Compared to Kremer, he allows 5 runs. This guy allows 2 runs. So you can see the grade level is a B plus or a B minus compared to a C plus. Bullpen is cleaner for Detroit, but like I mentioned, they're depleted on both sides. One thing I don't like here already is the OPS, but I think the pitching should hold them. And like I said, the stats overall are in the favor of Detroit. So yesterday, one of the plays I did take was the Yankees, and when I went to look at the score again, the White Sox were up 3-0, and I took the Yankees again. So I doubled down, but I had much cleaner odds because they were down 3-0, and then they came back and won like 9-4 or something like that. So a lot of these plays now, what I'm starting to do is I'm looking at these plays, and if it doesn't make sense based on the odds, I'll wait for the game to start, and then if the Orioles take over, then I'll take the Tigers live. So that's what I've been doing, but I'm not going to do that in this case. I do like Detroit. Let me take let me see here. Let me just make sure on this, and then I'll give you 2 other plays. So it's not a huge, I would say it's not a huge advantage here for Detroit. So I would say it's like a 55% chance overall. So that I'm going to take them anyway. I'll take Detroit money line. All right. So I went through this entire thing called the no run first inning. I went through every single one of these games already. And the one that did stand out to me, but I'm going to skip it, was, let's take a look. This one here. And I'm actually skipping it, which is Cleveland versus Reds. And you can see they got the FIP over here is kind of high compared to this guy. The little red emojis here, or fire emojis, I should say, that just means they have not gotten a run in the first inning off of him. And you can see it's pretty, there's a lot of games they have not. And then all this green stuff over here, what this means is that has not allowed a run in the first inning. So this is pretty clean over here for the pitching. However, once we start getting into the batting, you can see the rank is number 5 over here, and the rank is number 8. So two top 10 teams are going up against 2 very strong pitching. But one of the things I don't like is this FIP right here, which is a 4.47. And one other thing I don't like to see is that there's no prior matchups, so I can't use the information that I have to help me make a decision. And the only thing I would say, like for example, this guy came up to bat 12 times, so 12 plate appearances versus this starter, and he's only gotten 1.82, meaning 18% of the time he gets a hit. The other, what is that? 82% of the time he does not. So that's what I would have liked to see here. But the other thing that threw me off is, like I said, the offense is top 10. Plus, the odds were very, very, very good. And that's not a good sign. When the odds are very good, it's not a good sign. So the odds on this no run first inning was like a +1, or I'm sorry, like a +100. And I don't like to see that, because it's not that I won't take it. I've taken the Yankees and stuff like that. It's not that I won't take it, but when there's two top 10 teams going against a pretty bad FIP right here with Sassoni, something is wrong that I'm not seeing, which again, maybe there's prior matchups here. I'm not going to go deeper into this game, but this is one of the strong ones that I skipped because of the top 10 teams for both. I'll tell you why, and I'll give you the one I'm going to go with. The other one that kind of showed up was this one, the Boston Red Sox and the Athletics. You can see everything looks very, very good. The reason I skipped this, again, is two top 10 teams for offense. And the other thing is the park factor. So the park, which is Athletics Park, is actually a very small park. So a lot of people don't take that into consideration. You have to always consider the park. And for that reason, I'm skipping it, because the park is so small and there's no prior matchup data right here, and two top 10 teams. Okay, so that's the reason I'm skipping that one. Now, the one I am going with is this one, which is the Brewers and the Giants. So right here, you can see all this is very clean. This is all green over here on the right side. This is pretty much all good. And then if we start getting deeper into this, you can see the offense for Milwaukee is number 12. They do hit at a 71% hit rate. There is a batting average is .333, pretty much very good batting average, which is not good for us. However, they're going against this guy here, which is Rope. And Rope, he's pretty much, or Roop, I think that's how you pronounce it, Roop. So there's always a bit of a risk, obviously, but I like to see that this is a decent FIP right here, a decent FIP right here. Very good ERA on both. You can see the last 4 games, 5 games, last 3 games, and then all this green data over here. So I'm taking the Milwaukee Brewers and the Giants on the under no run first inning. So just be aware that it is a risk because of this rank number 2. And these guys over here, Yelich, Churio, and Terang, they have gotten hits off of this guy already. So that's the risk, but this is the cleanest one on the board that I saw. All right. Now, this one I have not looked at, and this is one of the things that I built right before I left, and I've been using it, but it's hard to do it from a remote computer. So long story short, I've been using this, but because I couldn't place the bets and because it was hard to remotely control this computer, long story short, I wanted to do this live because I wanted to, like I said, get back into the groove of things. And this is what's showing up as 1 hits. So let me get right into it, guys. But let me take a sip of coffee. So again, this is called the MLB Hits Deep Filter. So this deep filter, what it does is that it grabs the hundreds of batters for today. And from those hundreds of batters for today, it gets filtered. And even from that filtered list, which was about 20 players, it goes into a deeper filter, and then it starts going against the batting and the pitching. And you can see, and then I'll get into that, but that's when you get this list here. And from this list is much cleaner to take a look at the batter versus pitcher. Do you drop VIP pick soon? Got to hit the snooze soon. 2 a.m. Normally, like I said, I've been traveling a lot, so I just got home. I woke up very late this morning, but normally you will see it from I would say 10 a.m., which is 2 hours ago. But because I'm delayed right now, I'll toss them after this. I'll put them up there after this video. So give me about another 20 minutes if you can. Otherwise, just I don't know. But yeah, normally it'll be posted by 10 a.m. Central. All right. So first one I want to look at, there's not a lot more batters, so I won't be on here too much longer. There's a few more batters I have to go through here. There's not a lot. And then I'll throw the VIP picks out there. Normally I throw them out before I get on the live, but like I said, I'm kind of delayed on everything right now. So, anyways, Trevor Larnach, you can see again. What I like to see is that the Twins are a team that we're looking at to win already. So that's already a good sign for me for this batter. Just starting off. Okay, so the last 10 games, he's already 90% hit rate. ERA is a 4.6. I'm sorry, 4.8, 4.36, and then the BVP, which is batter versus pitcher, he's hitting off of him pretty decently. At home, he's hitting pretty decently. And then the only thing I don't like is that versus Kansas City overall, he doesn't get a lot of hits. But that's overridden by the fact that he's already faced this pitcher 8 times. He's gotten 2 hits, 3.33 average. So I will take this guy here. It's called Trevor Larnach. 1 hit. Okay, so sometimes these are very, very heavily juiced, as you can see right here. MGM is offering them at 250. BOL, what the hell is BOL? I forgot which one is BOL, but it's showing them at 250. So sometimes you have to parlay these together. Okay, and that's another reason in California I couldn't do that. I couldn't parlay 2 different players. All right, so the first one I will take is Trevor Larnach from the Twins. Let's take a look at this guy here. Jake Magnum from Pittsburgh, 80% hit rate. He's going up against Pafat, 4.43. Versus this pitcher, he's hitting at 100% hit rate, but it's a very small sample of two plate appearances, 2 hits. So he is hitting at 100% hit rate. At home, he hits a lot. And then you can just see these little green dots. These little green dots means that he's gotten 1 hit. 2 green dots means he's gotten 2 hits. So you can see it kind of went up and then it stayed like that. Now it's down, but he's gotten at least 80% hit rate over the last 10 games. On top of that, there's gray graph behind it. That means how many times he's coming up to bat. So he's coming up to bat about 4 to 5 times, which is good. So this one I'm going to take it to Jake Magnum, Pittsburgh, 1 hit. So I'm kind of giving you guys the sauce, man. If you guys appreciate that, let me know. Make sure you like, subscribe. I just got here. Have you said your favorite NRFI? Yeah, it's Milwaukee. I'm taking the no run first inning on Milwaukee game. All right, Corbin Carroll, Arizona. I can already see the split right here is bad. That's why it's red. So I don't like that. Also, BVP, that means that he's come up 0%. He's already faced this guy 3 times. He's got 0 hits. So I'm going to skip this just for those reasons. That's why I like this page right here so much, because it stands out. If it sucks, it tells you this sucks because of these reasons. That's why I love the way this looks too. All right, Ketel Marte is Arizona. 80% hit rate. He's going up against Chandler, 4.47, which isn't horrible, but it's not great. BVP bats versus pitching is 3.3 or 0.333. On the road, he's decent. As also versus Pittsburgh is at 63%. You can see the graph is kind of like very, very steady, except the last 3 games ago he didn't get a hit, and about 5 games ago he didn't get a hit, but he kind of recovered from that a little bit. He's already faced this guy 3 times. He's got 1 hit. So one thing I don't like, man, is that these odds, you can see it's 221, 230, 233. I don't like to see that. I like to see a little bit heavier for him to get 1 hit. And then, like I said, I usually parlay those or I skip them. Whenever it's very, very good odds and it's something that looks very, very good, you have to be very fishy about that. You have to start like throwing your antennas up. Like, why is this player so cheap? Okay, so for me, I'm still gonna go with it. Let me make sure. Yeah, I'm gonna go with it because right here against Pittsburgh, he's decent. On the road, he's decent. Against this pitcher, he's decent. And then overall, he does seem pretty solid over here. So I'll take this one. I'm gonna do Ketel Marte, Arizona, 1 hit. few more to go through, guys, and then I'll hop off. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to like. I would appreciate if once the video is actually posted, not the live, but once it's actually posted, if you guys can leave comments whenever I post videos and stuff, that helps the channel. All right, right away, what stands out is the no BVP. What this means is that no batter versus pitcher data. So he has never faced this pitcher. Okay, so that's already a negative sign for me. But Quantrell is somewhat decent right there, 405. No BVP data. At home, he's very low. So I like to see that over 300. He's less than 300 at home. So that's called the splits. He how can I put this? He gets a lot of hits. Look at this. He's got 2 hits here, 2 hits, 1 hit, 4 hits, 1 hit, 2 hits, 2 hits, 2 hits. So why is this so low? This is a 250. This guy should be at easily at a minus 300 right now for the amount of hits that he has, especially against Quantrell. So because there's no batter data versus pitcher, I'm going to skip this one, especially being that the odds are not crazy. I'm going to skip that one. Kevin Magango, this guy has gotten a lot of hits for us this year, but he has been falling off recently. So no BVP. I don't like to see that. Like I said, splits at home is 0%. So no matter how good his chart looks, at home he does not get hits. So I'm going to skip that. Suzuki in Chicago Cubs. He's going against McGreevy, which is not a good sign because McGreevy is decent at a 307. BVP is kind of low. I like to see that over 300. On the road, he's very low. He has faced this guy 8 times. He's gotten 2 hits. I'm going to skip this. I mean, this one is kind of like 50-50. And you can even see the little sign right there that says avoid, which I'm going to avoid it. There's only like 2 more guys to go through here. So Ellie De La Cruz at home. BVP is cold. 12 at-bats, 2 hits. I'm skipping that automatically. That's all I need to look at. This guy on the road, he's hitting very low. Not good. The last one here, Drake Baldwin from Atlanta. Again, he's faced this guy twice. He's got 0 hits. And the odds are pretty low. I'm going to skip this. So that's about it, guys. Let me kind of glance through what I talked about very quickly, and then we'll be done for the day. And then I'll throw out the VIP picks after this. So very quickly, like what I talked about was the top teams right now versus the bottom teams. The Reds are decent. Cubs are decent. Astros, Red Sox, Brewers, and Dodgers. Dodgers are getting better, but they did slump for a long time. This verdict thing that does say to go with Detroit. There's a lot of sharp plays over here today actually showing up. Actually, only one of them is showing up, Detroit. So what I noticed is that a lot of people, when they come onto the sharp edge, the people that are paying, the first page they go to is the sharp plays. So this tends to hit at a 70% hit rate. If this says strong or nuclear, it's been hitting a lot. I already talked about the Tigers. I'm taking the Tigers. I'm taking the Twins. I'm not going to go and try to find the Twins on that camera or on that page. And then I went through all the NRFIs. The one I liked the most was Logan Henderson and Rope. And that's because of the FIP. And I gave you guys the reasoning why this might not hit is because of the great offense over here as a number 2 versus Henderson. However, Henderson is very solid. So we'll see what happens. Do you like the Dodgers and the Padres today? The Dodgers did show up, but let me take a look at why it's telling me to skip it before I even look at it. Let's see. Give me a second. If I can find it quickly, I'll tell you why I'm skipping it. There's reasoning. So here, let me. You know what? If you guys, I'll go on for like 2 more minutes, very quickly. Let me bring this down. I'm not going to be able to show you this, but let me just read it very quickly. So let me get here. All right. So Cleveland and Cincinnati, the game 1, it does say Cincinnati has the best price, but the only way we should take that is the live. If you're catching it live on great odds. So meaning if Cleveland starts winning the game for whatever reason, you should take Cincinnati live. That's what it's telling me here. Detroit versus Baltimore. I already went through the entire game. I am taking Detroit. Tampa Bay Rays versus Texas. It showed up that Tampa Bay is the play, but it's super heavily juiced. I think it's minus 173, which is super heavily juiced for pretty much a coin toss game. Then you got Arizona and Pittsburgh. It does say to take Arizona, but there's a lot of contradictions there. So there's a small lean on Arizona. I'm not touching that game. It does say to take a look at the under Philadelphia Miami game, which I haven't looked at. I'll go take a look at that. And then it says Toronto, Washington to skip it. And then another one is Atlanta and the Mets. There's a lot of contradictions. So it is saying that Atlanta should win this, but it's very heavily juiced. And the win probability is very low compared to the juice. So it is saying that you should take Atlanta only if you're able to get great odds live. And again, what that means is if the Mets start winning the game, you should put your bet on Atlanta to win as a live bet, because the odds obviously are going to go much lower, much better. I'm skipping the second game completely on Cincinnati and Cleveland. Chicago White Sox and New York Yankees. We took the Yankees yesterday, but today they got much better pitching out there, and the line is moving in Chicago's favor. So there's a lot of contradictions. I'm skipping that. What else? Minnesota. I'm taking Minnesota. It is saying to look at the over, which I have not looked at. So we're taking Minnesota on the money line, but it's also saying we should look at the over on Minnesota. What else? Stay away spot is Chicago Cubs. That's just a complete stay away spot. Houston and Angels. I don't know why the hell I decided to take the Angels yesterday. Everything was making sense, but then even when I took the screenshot, I'm like, man, I should skip this game, and I didn't, and they ended up losing. So showing up again today as Houston, but very small fade. I'm not touching that game. Boston and Athletics. It's saying to look at the over. But it is very high at a 9.5, so be careful with that. Colorado and Padres, that's the one you asked about. It's saying to skip it. There's a lot of adversary things. It's a very chalky play. What that means is that it's heavily favored by the public, so it's already heavily juiced. And it doesn't make sense on why it's so heavily juiced. So it's actually telling you to look at the Colorado Rockies with the plus money, because it's so heavily juiced. So I'm skipping that game. When I see crap like that, I'm not touching it. And like I said, it's an adversary game, meaning that it's not great to take a look at in general. So I'm not touching that game. And what else? Milwaukee and San Francisco, kind of the same thing. What I just said is too heavily juiced to touch unless I can watch it live. Actually, I'm gonna write that down. If the Brewers, so what I like to do is I go on my phone and I go to Sports Alerts. There's an app called Sports Alerts, and then you download that. It's free, and then you look for the Brewers or the Dodgers or whatever game you want, or Atlanta is the other one that I told you about, and then you say send me an alert whenever the score changes. So then it'll literally text you and say, hey, the score changed, and then that's when you go on and place your bet live. So that's what I'm going to do for the Brewers live. I'm not touching the Dodgers for all the other reasons I said, but those are the ones we're looking at, guys. And that's about it. So stay away spot. So let me just give you the quickest breakdown now is Cleveland and Cincinnati is live. If you can catch it live on Cincinnati, I'm taking Detroit. I'm not touching the Rays game. Small lean on Arizona. Look on the under for Miami and Philadelphia. I'm skipping Toronto and Washington. Atlanta, I'm going to probably catch it live. Let me put this down, ATL live. If I can get good odds on the live. I'm staying away from the second game of Cincinnati. I'm skipping the White Sox game. I already told you all the reasoning why. Minnesota game, I'm taking money line. I'm staying away spot on the Chicago Cubs. I'm skipping the Angels game. And then I'm gonna take after I hang up this live, I'm gonna look at the over for Boston and Athletics, and I'm also gonna look on the under for Philadelphia, Miami. And then it's telling me here to take a look at Colorado. I'm not touching that. And it's also saying to look at San Francisco. I'm not touching that. And the other one is a stay away spot. So that's about it, guys. If you like this, if you enjoyed it, make sure you comment, like, and share this with other people. We're about to, it seems like we're stuck right below 5,000 subscribers, which is cool. I already paid somebody that's going to look at my channel and give me some pointers on what I should be doing different to grow the channel. But it is what it is. That's where we're at. And if you appreciate this work, whenever this video posts, make sure you subscribe, make sure you like, make sure you comment. And very importantly, also make sure to share with a couple of buddies that do the same thing. All right, guys. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you guys. And I'll be back tomorrow. Thank you.